Welcome to Cornerstone Today. This is a daily moment in the Word designed to help you start your day grounded, steady, and focused on what matters most. Each weekday morning we'll open Scripture together, seeking clarity, strength, and hope for the day ahead. This is about learning to walk with Jesus in real life, right where you are. Let's begin today in the Word. Well, good afternoon. Welcome to Cornerstone Today. It is Matthew Allen. I am so thankful that you have tuned in here this afternoon for another installment of our study through the book of Philippians. This week we're going to finish it out as we are in the last part of chapter 4 here of this wonderful epistle that Paul has written. Appreciate your patience today. I had intended on getting in here earlier today and recording, but we've just had a lot of things going on today and unable to do that. So here we are now, better late than never. Yesterday we were in Philippians chapter 4, looking at verses 15 and 16 and talking about Paul's contentment and his praise of the Philippian partnership with him in the gospel. And today we're going to continue those thoughts because Paul is closing out the letter to the Philippians here, and he makes something, I think, very clear in his writing. He says that his joy is not ultimately about receiving their gift. It is about what their generosity to him represented. Here's what he said. Not that I seek the gift, but I seek the profit that is increasing to your account. Now, I think that's a really interesting statement because, first of all, Paul is not focused on what he gained. What he is focused on is what they gained. The Philippians had supported him again and again, and they had given out of their own resources to help him advance the gospel. But Paul says here that the real beneficiary of that generosity is not about him. It is about their spiritual growth. And he calls it profit. That is something being added to their account. In other words, their generosity was producing fruit in their lives. I think this will challenge the way that we often think about giving. We tend to think about generosity as losing something. Giving money and giving time or giving resources. But notice here how Paul flips that around completely. He says that when we give for the sake of God's work, then we are not losing, we are gaining. It was Jesus who taught the same principle. He said, it is more blessed to give than to receive. And so there is something spiritually shaping about our generosity. It loosens our grip on this world, and it trains our hearts to trust God. And it also aligns with his purposes. And Paul goes even further than that. At verse 18, he describes their gift deeply in spiritual terms. He says, I have received everything in full, and I have an abundance. I am fully supplied, having received from Epaphroditus what you provided, a fragrant offering, an acceptable sacrifice, pleasing to God. Now, isn't that interesting? Paul is using language from the Old Testament sacrificial system. Terms like a fragrant offering, a pleasing sacrifice. This is how God viewed their generosity, not just as financial support, but as worship. And so that means when the Philippians gave, they were not simply helping Paul, they were offering something to God. And their generosity rose to him like a pleasing aroma. The same is true today. When we give to support the work of the gospel, whether it's through our resources or our time or effort, it is not just a practical act, it is a spiritual act. It is worship. And so I want you to think carefully about the application for today. Take a moment to consider how generosity is shaping your life. Are you viewing your giving as a loss or as an opportunity for spiritual growth? And ask God to help you see generosity in the way that he does, not as something taken from you, but as something that will produce fruit in you. Because when we give with the right heart, we are not just meeting needs, we are participating in the worship that is pleasing to God. We'll see you tomorrow. Thanks for spending these moments in the Word today. As you go, remember this: faithfulness is built one ordinary day at a time. Keep walking with Jesus. Keep listening. Keep trusting. God is at work all the time. Join us again every weekday morning for another moment of encouragement and truth here on Cornerstone Today.